Boomsa Daisy.
Okay, so I should be recording. So, at the start of this process journey of learning to fly, I said to everyone that was watching the videos or channels that the one thing that I was going to try and do is be honest with everyone and give you a true account of what it's like from the student perspective compared to people that are have already done it, the CFIs, and they say, no, it's easy once, this is easy to do. It's easy because you've done it. So, if you're anything like me, and apparently you are if you're watching this, you go ahead and watch aviation videos. You watch probably Mentor, uh, Aviation 101, Flight Jobs, you name it. And you always hope that what you learn of these videos, you hope that you can, if you were faced with a similar situation, that you would be able to do what they demonstrate, or what I mean. In particular, one that I've like in the last term with the weather, with the aerial meteorology, I used Josh's videos for my class about the best creek, and the best way of to avoid bad situations is not by not being in them in the first place. And the best creek one I followed, I watched, where he aborted the takeoff within a split second because it wasn't getting enough lift. But you would do the same, you would be able to make that decision with that, similar circumstances. Well, today, I'm approaching to be able to do or trying to get to do my solo. And it's the point where the instructor becomes the fly on the wall, the pretend passenger, so to speak. And I guess I have a mindset which is particularly bad, is that my mind resolves that if the instructor's in the plane, I use the instructor as a safety mechanism, as a resource. My mind automatically thinks, well, nothing too bad can happen as long as they're in the plane. If anything bad happen, they take over and take care of the plane. But I realized that's a bad mindset to have, because you're trying to be the pilot in command. You've got to make the decisions. You've got to live with the decisions. And whereas today the instructor becomes a fly on the wall, you can't have that mindset anymore. So the adjustment of my ADM or CRM mindset, where I cannot rely on the instructor, came, I got away with it this time, basically. A humbling experience, if you will. Basically, it's a non-event. Like, it wasn't too serious, but it easily could have been worse, or it could have turned into something more serious than it had to be. But because the instructor was there this time, like, my mind automatically thinks that it's what's going to happen happens. So basically, what happens is we were everything was fine right up until takeoff. We did the one up. We checked the mags. They did the draw, checked the copy. Wind was fine. We got up to, we got onto the runway 6, and we started taking off. Um, the plane was acting a little bit squirrely. I didn't notice the RPMs on the bottom right because I kind of have blinkers on. I'm focused down the runway, like paying attention to the speed and locking down the runway. But I should be looking at the RPM too, but just briefly. But when it got to 70 miles per hour, I started to um, rotate, and the plane lifted up fine, but it just wasn't generating a lot of RPM. So it was the RPMs were kind of dropping. Um, and instead of 500 feet per minute, it was going like 300 feet per minute. Um, Now, I don't have a camera or footage of this, but I do have the track log, which you'll be able to see. Um, you don't normally the normal takeoffs and landings on a tracking log, which is what I'm going to be showing you. That the takeoffs are more steep and landings are more steep. You don't have a gentle incline like a pair of. It doesn't look like a pair of stairs, but you're going to be able to see um, the one that where it happened is that's exactly what it did look like. Is that the plane was slowly going up a pair of stairs, and it struggled to get to pattern attitude. Now you're normally at pattern attitude before you get into the downwind, but I think from memory, it wasn't until we're turning into left base that we were approaching the end of the downwind before we were at 1400, I believe. Now the instructor took over the controls at the after we took off, because I said something's not right here, because I knew it wasn't right. Um, like we were going 89, but we wasn't picking up any attitude. Like we had the climbing speed, we had free Y, we just did not have enough engine power. Like the plane wasn't gonna go down, but it just wasn't maintaining attitude. But the instructor turned on the carb and it got some um, of the RPMs back up to normal. But basically, he took over the controls, and uh, we kept the pattern close to the airport, and eventually, and we made a landing. But then we got off the one way. We decided to check it just to see if it was a fluke. Now that once he did the carb heat, it seemed to be okay. So we went to Alpha 5 and did another one up. Like we put the throttle up to 2000. Everything was fine with the mags. But as soon as he pushed it to full power, the RPMs were less than um, 21, 22. So we taxied around and went back to Hannon. So, and I was thinking to myself the entire time, all the way around, is that if he wasn't there, I know what I would have done. I know I would have been okay. But the best thing I could have done and should have done was pull the throttle back and not even taken off and board at the takeoff. And I'm kind of annoyed with myself that I didn't, because I've seen the content a lot of times. I've watched the videos more than once. And you say to yourself, you hope you would be able to do that given the same situation, or similar situation. But my only defense is that Josh has a lot more experience than I do. I'm a very new 40-hour pilot. So my reactions may be slower than his, maybe, or, because I have blinkers on, because I'm a new pilot and I'm not looking at everything that I should be probably. But really, that's not really any excuse. Like, I don't, like, it's something I should have done. Um, it's it's something that I should have done as abort the takeoff, and not use the instructor as a safety harness, because one, they were supposed to be a fly on the wall, and two, if he wasn't really there, I could have seriously got myself into more trouble and danger than I needed to. Um, so one, as part of the CRM, you can't use your instructor as a tool, and two, you got to make better decisions. Like I got to make better decisions. Um, like you cannot rely on someone else to bail you out, even when you're a fresh raw pilot, as I am. Um, because yeah, this could have easily gone 10 different ways than it actually did. Um, I mean, the plane was flying. It was struggling to get up to 23, 22 RPMs, but it was going 22, 21. So, and we were close to the airport. And I know on my own, if I was really struggling, I would have called the tower. I would have done pan, so partial engine power loss, need immediate return. And because we had turned left, I would have used one-way 13, 1-3, and just use that one-way to land. Um, we took off one-way 6, 24. They weren't using one-way 313, 1331 because of the winds, but in emergency you land where you can. Or partial emergency, but if I would have got to the copy, and I would have seen that it did what it did for us, so I might have just tried to land like we did. But I know if I was on my own, I know I would have been okay. I would have done what I needed to do to get back on the ground safely. But the correct thing that I should have done is not even take off. I should have withdrew the throttle and abort. So it's kind of a humbling experience for me. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it, but it's an experience I'm not going to forget. Like, I think I said, yeah, I don't have an experience, but that isn't really an excuse because it could have gone a lot worse. So, like I said, I'm not going to hide anything of my training to you. I'm going to put what my experience is, and hopefully you guys can benefit from it. I guess.
You can teach monkeys to fly better than that.